What happens when a place meant for joy becomes a symbol of disaster? The Pripyat Amusement Park in Ukraine was supposed to be a place of excitement and laughter. Instead, it became one of the most haunting symbols of the Chernobyl disaster. Scheduled to open on May 1st, 1986, the park never officially welcomed visitors. Just days before its grand opening, the catastrophic explosion at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant turned Pripyat into a ghost town. In an eerie twist, officials briefly opened the park on April 27th to keep the panicked residents distracted before their evacuation. Little did they know, the air was already thick with deadly radiation. The most iconic image of the park? The rusting Ferris wheel, standing frozen in time, a grim monument to a city that ceased to exist overnight. The bumper cars, once meant for carefree fun, now sit abandoned, covered in moss and decay. Nature has reclaimed the park, twisting metal structures and cracking the pavement. But the eeriest part? The Geiger counters still click wildly when visitors step too close. The radiation lingers, just like the memory of what could have been. Pripyat's amusement park isn't just abandoned. It's frozen in tragedy, a place where childhood dreams were stolen by an invisible nightmare. Would you dare step inside? Nara Dreamland was supposed to be Japan's answer to Disneyland, a magical escape filled with roller coasters, fairy tales, and endless fun. Opened in 1961, it was a near replica of the original Disneyland in California, complete with a castle, a monorail, and a Main Street look-alike. But while Disneyland flourished, Nara Dreamland slowly crumbled. By the 1990s, newer theme parks, including Tokyo Disneyland and Universal Studios Japan, stole the spotlight. Attendance plummeted, and the once vibrant park became eerily empty. In 2006, after years of decline, Nara Dreamland shut its gates for good. But the story didn't end there. Instead of being demolished, the park sat abandoned for over a decade, transforming into one of the world's creepiest urban exploration sites. The rusted roller coasters, decaying fairy tale castles, and moss-covered carousels created an eerie, post-apocalyptic vibe. Adventurous trespassers wandered through the haunted remains, capturing spine-chilling photos of a dream slowly fading into darkness. Security guards eventually cracked down on intruders, and in 2017, the park was finally demolished. But its legend lives on. For years, Nara Dreamland stood as a haunting reminder that even the most magical places can't escape time. Would you have dared to walk through its abandoned streets? Let me know in the comments below. Some places are cursed from the start. Gulliver's Kingdom in Japan was meant to be a whimsical, family-friendly attraction based on Jonathan Swift's Gulliver's Travels. Opened in 1997, it featured a massive 147-foot-long statue of Lemuel Gulliver, tied down by Lilliputians, an impressive yet bizarre sight. But despite its ambitious concept, the park was doomed from day one. And you know why? For starters, it was built in one of the worst possible locations, right next to Japan's infamous Aokigahara Forest, also known as the Suicide Forest. For eerie reputation of the forest, combined with the park's desolate surroundings, made for an unsettling atmosphere. To make things even worse, the area was also close to the former headquarters of the Aum Shinrikyo cult, responsible for the deadly 1995 Tokyo subway gas attack. Tourists weren't exactly eager to visit a theme park with such dark associations. Within just 4 years, Gulliver's Kingdom was abandoned, left to rot among the trees. The massive Gulliver statue, with its lifeless eyes and decaying body, only made things creepier. Explorers who dared to visit reported a chilling silence, broken only by the wind howling through the empty attractions. Doesn't that just sound terrifying? In 2007, the park was demolished, but its eerie legacy still lingers. A theme park that should have been about adventure and fantasy instead became one of Japan's most unsettling urban ruins. What happens when a theme park is swallowed by a hurricane and never comes back? Six Flags New Orleans was once a place filled with laughter, thrill rides, and family fun. But in 2005, Hurricane Katrina changed everything. The storm unleashed catastrophic flooding, submerging the entire park under 7 feet of water for weeks. When the water finally receded, what remained was a haunting wasteland of decayed roller coasters, rusting Ferris wheels, and abandoned attractions, frozen in time like a post-apocalyptic nightmare. Unlike other hurricane-damaged sites, Six Flags New Orleans was never rebuilt. The damage was simply too extensive, and the city had bigger priorities. Instead, nature took over. Weeds burst through cracked pavement, structures deteriorated, and eerie silence replaced the once deafening screams of thrill seekers. Over the years, the abandoned park became a hotspot for urban explorers, photographers, and even Hollywood filmmakers, with movies like Jurassic World using its haunting ruins as a backdrop. Despite various proposals to revive or demolish it, Six Flags remains a decayed shell of its former self, serving as a grim reminder of the storm's devastation. Security patrols try to keep people out, but that hasn't stopped daring adventurers from sneaking in to document the eerie remnants of a park lost in time. Suppose you're wandering through an abandoned amusement park, and instead of laughter, you hear whispers in the wind. Lake Shawnee Amusement Park in West Virginia isn't just any forgotten fairground. It's one of the most notoriously haunted places in the US. Built on a Native American burial ground, yes, really, the park has a history of tragedy that feels straight out of a horror movie. In the 1920s, it opened as a small, family-friendly getaway, but over time, eerie accidents began piling up. A young girl tragically died on the swings, a boy drowned in the lake, and other mysterious deaths turned the park into a place of sorrow rather than fun. By the 1960s, Lake Shawnee shut down, leaving behind rusted rides, a decaying Ferris wheel, and a haunting sense of unease. Paranormal investigators claim the spirits of those who died still linger, with reports of ghostly voices, unexplained shadows, and even the long-dead little girl seen playing near the swings. Isn't that just terrifying? Despite its dark past, the site attracts brave visitors looking for a brush with the supernatural. Some come for history, others for the thrill, but all leave with an unsettling feeling that they weren't alone. Would you dare to step foot in a park where the fun stopped, but something else never left? Imagine stepping into an abandoned amusement park where the last ride ended in tragedy, and the screams of joy were replaced by eerie silence. Okpo Land in South Korea was once a small, bustling amusement park, drawing families and thrill-seekers alike. But beneath the bright colors and cheerful atmosphere lurked a history of horror. The park's most infamous attraction was a duck-themed roller coaster, one that became the site of a horrifying accident. In the late 1990s, a car derailed, throwing a young girl to her death. Even more chilling, the park never acknowledged the tragedy. They simply shut down the ride and continued operating as if nothing had happened. That is, until another fatal accident occurred, this time forcing Okpo Land to close its gates overnight. The owner disappeared without a trace, leaving behind rusting rides and eerie remnants of a once thriving park. For years, the abandoned park stood as a ghostly reminder of its dark past. The rusted duck coaster, frozen mid-track, became a haunting symbol of the dangers lurking in forgotten places. Urban explorers and locals whispered about strange occurrences, shadows moving in the corners, the feeling of being watched, and an overwhelming sense of unease. Doesn't that just send chills down your spine? Though Okpo Land was eventually demolished, its legacy remains, a place where fun turned to fear and where laughter was silenced by tragedy. What if an amusement park didn't just close down, but became a surreal, overgrown nightmare straight out of a horror movie? Spreepark in Berlin, Germany was once a vibrant family destination, packed with thrilling rides and colorful attractions. But after years of financial struggles, mismanagement, and a bizarre criminal twist, the park shut its gates in 2002, leaving behind a haunting landscape of decaying roller coasters and lifeless Ferris wheels. The story took an even darker turn when the park's owner, Norbert White, attempted to smuggle over 180 kilograms of cocaine inside ride equipment. Yes, a failing amusement park turned into a front for drug trafficking. After being caught, White was sentenced to prison, and Spreepark was left to rot, its eerie swan boats drifting aimlessly, its massive dinosaur statue slowly collapsing into the weeds. Today, nature has reclaimed much of the park, with vines twisting around broken attractions and rusted tracks disappearing into the undergrowth. Urban explorers who dare to enter report an unsettling silence, broken only by the creaking of abandoned rides swaying in the wind. And if that's not creepy enough, there are stories of strange noises, whispers, footsteps, and even eerie laughter echoing through the ruins. Doesn't that sound like something just out of a nightmare? Though parts of Spreepark have been demolished, the ghostly remains of its past still stand. A once thrilling escape turned into a desolate relic of crime and decay. Would you wander through its forgotten rides, knowing the dark secrets they hide? How does a beloved children's amusement park turn into one of the creepiest abandoned places in Belgium? Dadipark was once a lively theme park designed specifically for kids, filled with slides, swings, and adventure rides. Located in Moorsleed, Belgium, it was the go-to destination for families looking for simple thrills. But over time, what was meant to be a fun, carefree playground turned into something far more sinister. The park's downfall began in the early 2000s after a tragic incident. A young boy lost his arm on one of the rides, sparking major safety concerns. With aging equipment and a lack of proper maintenance, more reports of injuries started to surface. Instead of upgrading the park, owners decided to shut it down in 2002, leaving everything behind. And that's where things got truly eerie. For years, Dadipark sat untouched, its decaying rides swallowed by nature. The once bright slides and carousels became rusted skeletons, and graffiti-covered walls added to the unsettling atmosphere. Rumors spread that the park was haunted, with visitors claiming to hear whispers and footsteps among the wreckage. Urban explorers flocked to the abandoned park, turning it into a hotspot for those drawn to the eerie and forgotten. But in 2012, demolition crews finally tore it down, erasing the ghostly remnants of Belgium's most infamous amusement park. Yet, even though Dadipark is gone, its legend still lingers, because some places don't just disappear, they leave behind a haunting memory. Which abandoned amusement park gave you the chills? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let us know if you'd like to see more stories of eerie locations.